This is Sunday afternoon live, and your host Christine Hart coming in live over here from London. The weather's pretty overcast, pretty grim. My co-host is Brian Barrott over there in lovely Madeira. Hi Brian, how are you?
Oh, really well. I'd like to say that it was raining, but no, it's not. You can see by my face, I'm quite brown.
Oh, today we've got a really interesting guest. We have the lawyer, the famous Italian, Giovanni Di Stephano. Welcome to the show, Giovanni. And you're out there in Italy, aren't you?
I am. I'm in southern Italy, and it is about 30 degrees with a beautiful sun. Yesterday we had a teeny weeny bit of rain, which was necessary. But for the next 10 days, the prediction here is excellent weather.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. And we want to sort of go straight in today and talk about, your life. And I was just discussing you with Brian, and Brian made the very interesting point that, you had represented people like Slobodan Milosevic, Archon, Saddam Hussein, and you had moved with all these people. And you'd done the jail term recently and thrived in jail. You'd helped the inmates with their legal problems. And Brian was saying how fascinating that you must be a really top communicator. So we wanted to focus the show today on the aspect of your how that grew in you, that communication skill, how we at home can learn to be good communicators, and how we could all do that, how we could thrive, how you thrived, and actually without qualifications. So that's heartening to a lot of us who are who didn't. I went to uni and dropped out, so some of us who didn't bother with that pathway. So how did you start, Gio? Can we take you back to being a little boy?
Well, let me just say about communication. If you want to learn a language, there's two ways to do so. You either go to prison for a year in that country, or you get a boyfriend or girlfriend that speaks only that language. Eventually, you're going to learn. So that is the...
Yeah, brilliant. But what I'm really interested in is your communication skill, how you can move between these different factions of society and be incredibly successful. That's what fascinates me.
Well,
Giovanni.
Advocacy, rhetoric was something that was a subject taught at school in my days. It is no longer sadly taught, rhetoric. But, we did at Wellingborough School, we did have to learn. And there was also public speaking and debates. And what used to happen, for example, is that they would, the headmaster or the master would pick a boy at random. There would be the proposer, there would be the person who did the speech, and there would be the vote of thanks. Then it depending, how well that you did at school, you managed to get hold of whatever position, and then you'd pick out from a box. And I once picked out, describe for 1 minute the inside of a ping pong ball. These are the things, these are the types of subjects that you're faced with on the spot. You have 100 boys, in front of you there, and let me tell you, they are far more cruel and far more than any jury or any other thing that I've had to be before. Questions like, it is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. What the hell did I know at 11, 12 years of age about love? And in fact, what do I know now really is more to the point. What does anyone know about anything there? But still, that was the beginning. That was the foundation of how you are raised. The food that you like, that you enjoy when you are older, has to be a habitual food up till the age of 9. After that, it goes. So whatever food is put in front of you between 0 and 9 is what you will become accustomed to. And in my case, even though I am Italian and I do like Italian food, but sausage, egg, and chips and that's because that's what we were. That's what we were brought up with in the United Kingdom. there.
So it sounds brilliant. I mean, but what you're describing to me is like being thrown to the lions. You know, describe the inside of a ping pong ball in front of sort of what, maybe a couple of hundred schoolboys. I think I'd rather face lions than discuss something like that. Seriously.
Well,
but like I said, you know, that must have honed your communication skill. It really must have done.
There's another thing that honed my communication skills. Being an Italian, there were only a few sort of us foreigners at school. There was only one black boy in 850 called Winston. He became an MP in Trinidad and Tobago. And I met him, you know, many years later. But there were only a few of us. So let me tell you, the Scots had a hard time. They had a harder time. I mean, obviously being Italian, I was an Itai, I was a Wog, I was all of that stuff that now will send shiver down your spine and get you sacked, you know, from any job if you dare use. But that's what, and you better start to learn to communicate how to get out of a situation when you've got 20 boys, you know, say, look, there's the Itai, there's his army marches backwards, he's yellow. You have to be able to get into that society. You need to penetrate the armor of what were British society there. Try and become part of it. You never can. A foreigner never can really be part of British society. My friend Azul Nadir tried his very, very, very best, but at the end of the day, they prosecuted him, even though he gave nearly 30,000 jobs in Polypec throughout. They'd rather bankrupt the company than sort of like turn a blind eye if there was anything going on there. So that is the situation as it was in the 60s when I came to the United Kingdom under what was then called the Aliens Act. And my father had a card, Alien, and I still have it somewhere there. And part of that meant that we had to sign on at the police station for 4 years every Saturday at 3 p.m. And the police obviously made us wait a couple of hours always so that you couldn't get the tail end of the shopping, because in those days, Frank Brierley was the first person that brought supermarkets into the United Kingdom, contrary to popular belief there. And he would give away food that he couldn't sell because you were not allowed to open on a Sunday. You had to be closed. So he would give food away between 3 and 5. And we got screwed over. Obviously, we foreigners that had to sign on at, at the police station there. And it was a 4-year contract. You couldn't access any medical care. And you had to work 6 days a week for a minimum of 10 hours, Monday to Friday, and 8 hours on a Saturday, for a fixed sum of £4 per week. And my parents worked at a company called Welland, that, and no access to anything, no access to council houses or anything. A little bit later on, after the 4 years, then we managed to get our own home, of course. There, the law changed slightly, but it was an extension of 4 years. Anyone that had broken into into the United Kingdom was jailed, was put in prison, because what's happening is that if I come to your home uninvited and break in, I'm going to be prosecuted. So what the hell is the difference between being prosecuted by breaking into your home and breaking into your country? That was the view of the 60s, the Aliens Act. Anyone that came in without a proper invitation. Why should I gate crash your home with 30, 40 people uninvited, take possession of all your stuff there, make sure that you can't use the toilets and that because I've got all my... See, this is where, in those days, Britain really was great. It is now anything but great because it has gone too far. Before it was too strict, now it's too liberal. So we need to, somewhere along the line, in the next 3 generations, 75 years, because it's not going to happen overnight, Brian and Chrissy, let me tell you. You're going to end up paying out of your pockets, the taxpayers' money for things that are completely, totally absurd, like 8 million a day in hotel bills for people that come over here that are not invited. And yet you have people on the street, British people who have lost their jobs and can't find a home. It is appalling, disgraceful, and I will always say so. And I don't give a flying Ferrari who comes and tries and attack me for that. Let them try. Bring it on, boy, because I can give as much as I can take on stuff like that, even though
Yeah,
England is
I
not
mean,
my country.
it is. It's a bit of a mess here, and Ireland as well. You know, it's a bit of a mess. And people say about, you know, immigrants coming, and I'm an immigrant too, and I'm Irish, but, you know, like coming here and, you know, why shouldn't they want and try for a better life? But it's like these people when you're in the tube in rush hour, and there you are getting squashed, and they're going, come on, you can fit in more and more. And you're like, hang on, I'm at the back here, I'm getting like squashed. So it's okay for the middle classes who've got their own homes, they've got businesses, they're parasiting off the rest of us, making the rents go up and going, oh yes, come on, you know, bring in more, help them have a happier life. They're thinking about cheap labor and cheap cleaners, cheap nannies, and, you know, while the rest of us get squished, you know. I mean, the working classes here are really demonized. We're actually thought of as not human.
Well, when it comes to, of course, you being Irish, there's a special status. The 1922 state, and also when Ireland became an independent country, it signed agreements, whereby Irish citizens who were previously part of the so-called empire, empire of hell, really, you still today retain a special status. For example, extraditions yes, they used to be dealt with under the European extradition directive, but there was also very, very important situations whereby it was a lot easier to extradite an Irish citizen than a European citizen, because of that. There was no other benefits. It was a completely one-way benefit, because try and extradite an English person, from Ireland into the UK is very bloody difficult. But the other way around, there you have it.
Yeah. So what happened with you at school? Because you didn't study to be a lawyer, did you? And there was a program recently, I can't remember what channel it was on, about you, and there was lots of barristers saying how you were better than them, more intelligent than them, and that why didn't you bother to take the bar exam? And
Well, I didn't need to, because I'm a member of the New York State Bar. So why do I need to take an exam in the UK when in 2002 Mr. Justice Jackson ruled that I was a fully qualified lawyer, which I am, and I'm still a practicing attorney, a practicing law. And, now that obviously I'm a certain age where I choose to do other things there, but I still can represent you in most of the courts, worldwide. And it is a complete fallacy. The Court of Appeal on the 25th of April, Mr. Lord Justice Holyroyd ruled that I always was a lawyer and am a lawyer, and that part of the prosecution of me was erroneous and was wrong there, which is why they are reviewing themselves, the whole situation there. But at the end of the day, I've done 10 years for nothing, but it hasn't really been for nothing, because I would have lived 10 years anyway. It's just that I lived it in a different place to where I really wanted to live it. And how many people today in the world, Christine, really are where they want to be? So, we are all in jail in one form or another. It's an economic jail. Can a person on the dole, I don't even know if it still exists, the dole, go and buy a ticket for Disneyland in Miami? No, they can't, because they can't afford it. So they have economical jail. You have social jails. Someone that is not conducive like to society. There's someone who has a face disfigurement. Unfortunately, there's certain places that they can go but won't go simply because of they don't fit in. There are people with a different color that don't fit in there. It's all these boundaries that we have. We have religious prisons, religious boundaries. We are all, every single person in the world has her own individual holistic prison. It just depends how much what they have to be able to get out of it.
Yeah, I totally feel that, Gio. I totally feel that Well, I'm in an economical prison. What happened to me, I don't know if you know, because, you know, we haven't been in touch for the last year. Well, we have the last 6 months, but I